family more than life. We are extremely close, and not just my immediate family, but my extended family. We're really close, and we get along fairly well. The one thing we don't do well is argue well. We don't argue well. We don't communicate well. So, I find a lot of times that what I tend to be in when it comes to even having moments of serious discussion, which, listen, not every heated discussion is an argument to me. Some discussions are just that. They're just heated, because everyone is standing behind the ideology of what they believe in. So oftentimes things can get intense. The one thing that I have struggled with is I have a lot of people in my family who are crazy makers. Now, if you've never heard of this term before, I invite you to pull up, because this will be enlightening for you. Crazy making is a thing. That's an actual term. It's a term used in psychology today. We all have emotional ties to people who are crazy makers. We all know crazy makers. Some of us are crazy makers. And crazy making is a conscious or unconscious behavior. Now, for many of you who may not have heard of this term before, I think the reason why this is not a term that is often used is that the behaviors are oftentimes not obvious. It could be as subtle as someone who tries to convince you that something happened that didn't happen. It could be as simple as passive-aggressive behavior. It could be projecting onto someone. It could be showing or having someone feel as though every time something goes wrong, it is their fault. It could be cues of nonverbal, dismissive behavior. Crazy making can comprise of many things. The challenge is to recognize the behaviors, assess it from a healthy or unhealthy place, depending on what's going on, and then try to employ proper strategies to stay sane when you are involved in a discussion or a situation with a crazy maker. Oftentimes, someone who is crazy making will use manipulation or oppressive tactics to control or win arguments or disagreements with people. So, again, psychology even has not been able to properly describe crazy making. They have been able to liken it to behaviors, but all right, so let me tell you a situation, right? So I'm having a discussion with a family member, and it is about a scenario that they're involved in, and this is not an argument between them and myself. This is just a discussion. And in the discussion, where the person is kind of just telling me their side of the story, I am oftentimes kind of an objective person. I try to be who I feel is necessary at the time. But I take the temperature and I try to gauge if this person just wants to vent, or is it that this person is truly looking for me to respond with some sort of advice? Like, does this person seem at a loss? And it seemed as though when the person was telling me what was going on, that they would be in a place to appreciate sage wisdom and understanding, not necessarily advice, but just, hey, see things from a different perspective, right? Well, that somehow turned into me. Now, mind you, I was not involved in this in the first place. Me somehow, thinking that I'm better than, and also them feeling like they needed to defend themselves against like something I said. So if I said, well, there's a lot of ego involved here, like I think everybody just needs to relax. Oh, I know everybody probably, you acting like I think you, what are you trying to say? I'm this? You trying to say I'm that? And it's like, no, I'm not, no. What I'm saying is that in the midst of the situation, right? So when you're having those type of discussions and it flips on you, or even if you are the one involved and you're having these kind of discussions and this person's like flipping out on you or whatever, when it could just be a simple communication, it's like, how do you fight that, right? I know for a lot of you, we're coming up on the holiday season. You get these, Eckhart Tolle calls them pain bodies. You oftentimes, when you go into the holidays and you're going to see your family, immediately what's going to happen is somebody's pain body is going to rise up to meet the situation. And by that, I mean someone is going to have a meltdown. There's going to be an argument. There's going to be something. One of the crazy makers are going to make an appearance, Jesus. Okay. So, there are 3 types of crazy makers. First type is a narcissist. They can't oftentimes empathize with anyone. Their needs are primary. They don't give a shit about anybody else's feelings. They actually oftentimes feel like feelings or emotions are a hindrance or somehow a bother to them. They dislike emotions is pretty much a simple way of putting it. They are oftentimes materialistic, demanding of a trophy lifestyle. And, the problem with the narcissist is that oftentimes they're charming as fuck. They're normally the most charming people in the room. Now, I think that if all of us kind of dig deep far enough, we can sense that there might even be some narcissism within us. And by the sheer fact that you could look at yourself and even say that there's no possibility that you could be a narcissist makes you a narcissist. Oh, yes. The sheer fact that being a narcissist is something that you couldn't even fathom for yourself, like it's just not possible, would by proxy make you a narcissist. Because you have to know that the ability to be egocentric exists in all of us, right? The second type is the drama cultivator. Now, the drama cultivator is always in a goddamn crisis. Now, listen, everybody goes through shit, okay? Everybody goes through something. But the thing with the drama cultivator is their life seems to be wrapped in their own chaos. They are normally energy killers. They tend to expect you to respond now and on their terms. They're basically a walking emotional landmine. You don't even know what the fuck you're going to get with them. Okay? They are a problem. Well, they normally are people who seek you out when drama's going on in their life, but know how to stay away from you if shit is going okay. Everybody has those. The motherfuckers that you only hear from when they are like not doing well. Yeah. I actually used to have a homie like that who like, they were great at coming around when things weren't good for them. When things were good for them, you would never see them. Yeah. Okay. Crazy makers. The third type is the stealth bomber. Now, the stealth bomber is the trickiest of the crazy makers because they seem supportive. They're always available. The problem with the stealth bomber is that they are keeping score, and they are the martyr that keeps score. They're doing everything out of the ability to know that they will pay you back, okay? Or they expect to be paid back. Like, they oftentimes get involved in things that they don't want to do. So this is normally like the nigga that you ask to do you a favor who says like, yeah, like totally, but never shows up to actually do you the fucking favor. Yeah, him. Now listen, everybody misses an event every once in a while, but stealth bombers are normally consistent about fucking some shit up. Okay, like they're good at making you feel guilty about the fact that they are fucking your shit up. Okay, now they normally do that with making up excuses and shady reasoning, and you know, they'll flip the script on you if you get upset with them. Listen, honestly, it's like the tactics that crazy makers use are like all over the place. All right. Now, have you ever heard of the term double bind? A double bind is when you basically use a negative message disguised as a positive one. So basically, like, I would know that I'm fucking you over, right? But I'm like, oh, but I love you. I've just been thinking about you all day. You know, that's a double bind. You are entrenched in something negative and basically taking something positive and wrapping it up in shit, right? So there's also like the tactic of inconsistent praise. So I don't know if you know this, but inconsistent praise tends to get you more of a desired response than consistent praise, right? So if you've ever fucked with a fuckboy before, one of the tactics that a fuck nigga tends to use is inconsistent praise. He is good, solicits your response, and then he is bad and knows that you will work hard just to get that same praise, just to get that consistent behavior, just to get that one thing. You'll work hard for it. I don't know if you know this or not, but basically that's how people train puppies, is inconsistent praise. You know, basically like blind rewarding, right? Selective memory is another tactic that the crazy maker uses. They are convenient at forgetting any issues that they have with you, especially when they need something from you. Oh, you know, last week they was calling you a hoe, but this week they need something from you. And it's almost like last week didn't even happen. Now, listen. The problem with this is that when they are mad at you, they throw everything wrong that you have ever done right back at you. How are you supposed to even live like that, honestly? Right? The other tactic is they make it impossible to empathize. Now, empathy is it is impossible for them to empathize. So basically, they use that lack of empathy as a tactic. Empathy is a developed trait. A lot of people think that you are born with empathy. That is not true.